She called me predictable, then snuck out in heels I'd never seen. I found the chats buried under work files. Her pet name for him. My chaos. My hands didn't shake. I screenshotted everything and sent it to his wife, right as mine stepped into the shower. I used to think silence was peace. Now I know it's camouflage. Ashley had this habit of narrating her mornings. Coffee. Shower. Email. Like her words kept the world turning. That Thursday, she skipped email. I noticed. She moved differently, too, a little too light on her feet for someone who said she barely slept. She left the house in a camel coat I didn't recognize, collar popped like she was shielding herself from something. Maybe me. The scent hit next. Her perfume had changed. The old one was soft, powdery. This one. Sharper. Predatory. It lingered in the hallway after she closed the door. I waited a full 10 minutes before walking into the kitchen. The ceramic mug she'd left steaming on the counter read, "Wife. Mother. Boss." She'd stirred it once. I could see the single swirl in the foam. She never left without finishing her coffee. The first clue is never loud. It's quiet, like a skipped word. I opened her laptop. Nothing crazy, we shared everything. Or so I thought. Her email was signed out. The browser history had been wiped. And in the downloads folder, a zip file named Work Files Final. Modified 5 minutes before she left. Inside were PDFs, contracts, and a folder called Meeting Notes. Inside Meeting Notes were screenshots. Dozens of them. iMessage threads, blurred names, timestamps, snippets of what looked like affair planning. I scrolled until I saw a name that pulled my chest tight, Bradley. Bradley used to be a joke. The coworker who doesn't get social cues. The guy who overused cologne and said synergy unironically. Ashley used to mock him. Now she was calling him chaotic sexy in texts she saved under Meeting Notes. I closed the laptop. Slowly. Like if I moved too fast, the lie would scatter and I'd never catch it. That night, she came home late, claimed traffic. Kicked off those unfamiliar heels and microwaved the same soup she said she was so tired of. She didn't look at me much. Just scrolled on her phone, lip twitching every time it buzzed. Long day? I asked. She smiled. The kind of smile people wear to funerals. You know. Same old. That was when I noticed she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. I didn't say a word. I just nodded, watched her eat like nothing in her mouth had taste anymore. Ashley had become a woman of small omissions. A missing word. A new perfume. A ring left behind. And me, I'd become a man who noticed everything. She thought I was boring. She had no idea how dangerous that made me. The next morning, I woke up before her. Just sat in the dark, watching the light shift under the bedroom door. I could hear the soft whir of her electric toothbrush, the clink of mascara hitting porcelain, the zipper of the same camel coat she now wore like armor. She didn't kiss me goodbye. Instead, she said, "Don't wait up," like I was the one who'd made this feel temporary. I tracked her phone using the family plan we both forgot existed. She'd disabled location sharing, but not the sync. Rookie mistake. Her steps mapped out in synced metadata from the health app, a slow walk around the building near 9th and Roosevelt. Not her office. Not even close. It was raining when I parked 2 blocks from her meeting. I waited. 20 minutes later, I saw her through the cafe window. She wasn't alone. Bradley. Same cologne, I could smell it from the street. He leaned in too close. His hand on her wrist lingered longer than coffee required. She laughed, that soft laugh she hadn't used with me in months. The one she used to save for inside jokes and early dates. Now it belonged to him. I didn't take a photo. Not yet. Evidence wasn't the point. Understanding was. When she got home, I was on the couch with a book I hadn't touched in years. She blinked, confused. "You're reading." I nodded. Trying new things. She kicked off her shoes, didn't meet my eyes. "I'm exhausted." You're always exhausted lately. There it was, a pause. Her breath caught, just enough for me to catch it too. Yeah. Work's been insane. I just watched her. Watched the way she moved around me, like I was furniture. Functional. Unfeeling. We went to bed without touching. Her back to me, phone glowing beneath the covers. I timed the screen, 17 minutes of typing, scrolling, deleting. I wasn't in any of those messages. That Saturday, I played my role. Groceries, lawn, fixed the garbage disposal. She wandered in with sunglasses too big for the weather and a fake apology about missing lunch. I asked, "Where were you?" She flinched. "Target." "I told you." "No. You didn't." Another pause. She smiled too quickly. "Didn't I?" "Must have slipped." A lie that practice doesn't slip. It's placed. Later, I checked the receipts. No Target run. Just a $92 charge from a boutique hotel bar, 2 martinis, 1 appetizer, 1 room. Room 314. I remember because the 1 was crooked on the printout. Still, I didn't say anything. Not yet. Instead, I bought her favorite wine, cooked her favorite pasta, and asked about her day. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're too good to me." That's when it hit me. She wasn't just cheating. She was relying on my decency to keep lying. And I was done making that easy. Something shifted the next week, not in her, in me. I stopped correcting her when she lied. Stopped asking where she was or why she smelled like hotel soap. I let her think I was folding. Routine became my camouflage. She noticed. Of course she did. "Everything okay?" she asked on Tuesday. She was folding laundry, staring at a pair of lace underwear I'd never seen before. They weren't hers. Not from our life, anyway. I said, "Fine," without looking up. She held those panties for a second too long, then dropped them like they weren't silk soaked in guilt. "I think these got mixed in from the gym." She doesn't go to the gym. But she's good. Years of corporate poise trained her face to say nothing even when her mouth did. On Wednesday, I changed the sheets without telling her. The next morning, she asked, "Did you spill something?" I looked at her. "No." She hesitated. "They smell different." "Clean," I said. "That's all." She stood there, hand on the edge of the bed, like she was deciding whether to press. She didn't. Cowards rarely do when they sense the cliff edge under their feet. I started watching her more closely. The rituals that once felt comforting, now they were codes. The way she double-knotted her shoes on Thursdays. The way she kept her phone screen angled toward her thigh, never the room. How she showered the second she got home, before even saying hello. I planted a question one night, quiet and sticky, meant to echo. "Do you ever think people grow apart without realizing?" She didn't answer right away. Then, I think, sometimes people grow differently. Not apart. Same thing. No. One is natural. The other is someone's fault. That told me everything. She'd already started crafting her exit story. Quiet reframe. Emotional neutrality. She'd say we weren't connecting anymore, that we drifted, that it wasn't about him. It never is, in their version. But her phone told a different story. I borrowed it while she was in the shower. Just 30 seconds. That's all it took. Under Notes, a locked folder. Password protected. Idiotically, it was the name of her first dog, something she'd once told me with misty eyes on a drunk anniversary night. Inside. Drafts of letters she never sent. One to me. One to Bradley. One to Bradley's wife. Her note to his wife was a masterpiece of calculated distortion. Full of faux empathy and phrases like, "I didn't mean for this to happen," and, "We were just looking for understanding in hard times." It was dated 6 weeks ago. So she had thought about ending it. But she didn't. Because wanting to be better isn't the same as choosing to be. She chose him. Again. And again. She was just waiting until she could leave me and still look like the victim. That's when I stopped reacting. Stopped watching her for answers and started preparing my own. I made a new email address. No name. No history. I created a burner phone account and waited. I copied every note. Every screen. Every late-night message from her to him that sounded like it came from someone else's life. And I started tracking Bradley. He wasn't careful either. Which made what I found next almost too easy. Bradley coached youth soccer on Sundays. That was the first thing I learned. Second, he was married. Not separated, not, it's complicated, full-on married. 2 kids. Golden retriever. Wife's name was Heather. PTA photos, family park outings, matching Christmas sweaters. Bradley wasn't Ashley's soulmate. He was her mirror. 2 liars convincing themselves that emotional chaos is passion. That wanting something outside your life meant your life was broken, not that you were. I watched him from across parking lots. I followed his car once, just once, to a suburban chain pharmacy where he picked up a prescription and flirted with the cashier. He had this face he wore in public. Loose. Harmless. Guy who buys organic. Guy who volunteers. Guy who cares. It was the same face Ashley wore at brunch with friends. Her laugh a little too sharp, eyes scanning for exits she could pretend were choices. At home, I started giving her nothing. No warmth. No suspicion. Just stillness. And still, she kept checking. Everything okay, again, like a reflex. Why wouldn't it be? You've been quiet. I've always been quiet. She looked at me then. Not through me, like she had for weeks. At me. I watched her study my expression, trying to locate herself in it. But I was already gone. I began syncing her phone every night through an app she didn't know I had access to. I built a library of her messages. I read the timestamps. Watched how she juggled us. She'd text me something domestic, "Can you grab milk?" And 30 seconds later, send him a photo in a robe she never wore for me. I read their inside jokes. Their made-up nicknames. Saw her send him selfies in our bathroom, with my towel in the background. She wasn't confused. She was methodical. Then came the shift. Her tone with him changed. Less heat. More panic. She started asking if he was sure. If he really wanted this. If we should talk soon. The anxiety of someone who bet everything on a backup and realized he was a cardboard lifeboat. That week, she suggested therapy. I said yes. We went to 3 sessions. She cried in the first. Blamed herself in the second. In the third, she blamed me. You've changed, she said. You're so distant. I nodded. Interesting. The therapist asked how I felt. Fine, I said. I've always liked the quiet. Ashley blinked. She hated that answer. She wanted heat. Conflict. Something to leverage. But I gave her ice. On the ride home, she asked if we could do something just the 2 of us this weekend. Sure, I said. Let's plan something. I never did. Instead, I set up a Dropbox folder. Labeled it, House Reno Ideas. Filled it with everything, messages, photos, notes, call logs, timestamps. Screenshots of the room service receipts. Recordings of phone calls she didn't know I'd captured. Then I found Heather's email. The real one. Tied to a local nonprofit. I drafted the message. Just a single line above the folder link. You deserve the whole truth. I thought I did too. I didn't send it. Not yet. Because revenge is like wine. Better when you let it breathe. The moment came quietly, no dramatic reveal, no storm. Just the glow of her phone, left face up for once, at 2:13 a.m. She was asleep. Or pretending. The message preview read. Bradley, we need to talk. She knows. She didn't flinch. No twitch, no fake rollover. Just steady breathing, like a machine that learned to mimic rest. I took her phone and stepped into the hallway. The thread was already opened. No passcode, she'd disabled it weeks ago, probably thought it made her seem more trustworthy. Or maybe she thought I was too passive to check. She was right. Until now. Bradley had panicked. He said Heather found lipstick on the back seat headrest. That she asked who Ashley was, not if, who. Ashley's replies were careful. Curated. She asked if Heather had said anything about evidence, if she'd mentioned names. Then, do you think she'll tell Mark? That was me. She didn't even use my name to me anymore. But she used it with him, as a liability. Bradley, she said she's thinking. But if she does, I'll say it was nothing. Ashley, it's been 8 months. Bradley, doesn't mean I don't love her. 8 months. I exhaled. Not hard. Just enough to feel the weight shift in my chest. I took screenshots of everything. Then I opened her Files app. Found a folder labeled Bills_2023. It had nothing to do with utilities. Inside were audio notes. I listened. She was rehearsing. Rehearsing. Her own narrative. It was never about sex, it was about connection. I felt invisible for so long. He's a good man, but we were roommates. Each one recorded on a different day. Different tone. Same manipulative arc. She was planning to frame me emotionally while she torched the marriage physically. In another note, she said, if I just make him feel safe a little longer, it'll be clean. No lawyers. No mess. That line clanged in my head like steel on concrete. I copied those files, too. She woke up later, stumbled into the kitchen, asked if we had coffee filters. Cabinet above the sink, I said, without looking at her. She watched me, I could feel it. That moment where the air shifts, when the liar doesn't know if the other person still believes. I gave her nothing. She brewed the coffee, added oat milk, sat across from me. You were up late. Yeah. Couldn't sleep. What were you doing? I looked at her. Right in the eyes. Thinking. She flinched. Just slightly. I started sleeping in the guest room. Blamed it on snoring, work stress, whatever excuse gave her space to dig her own grave. She didn't fight it. The messages kept coming. Bradley was pulling away. Ashley started to spiral. She accused him of using her. Of lying. Of leading her on. He ghosted her for 2 days. That's when she made a new plan. I found it scribbled in her notes. Tell him I'm pregnant. Except she wasn't. I checked. I found her period tracking app. She logged everything. Right down to the last cycle. She was 3 days late, but it wasn't real. It was bait. I almost admired it. Almost. But admiration died the second she looked me in the eyes the next night and said, I have something to tell you. I knew what was coming. She was going to use the fake pregnancy to trap me. To keep her narrative alive while Bradley faded. And that's when I made my decision. It was time to send the Dropbox link. But first, I needed one more thing. Proof she knew she was lying. I didn't ask questions. I let her talk. That night, in the dim haze of our kitchen, same light bulb flickering above the stove, same crack in the tile from when we moved in, Ashley leaned against the counter and said, I'm late. 3 words. Spoken carefully. A test balloon. I didn't react. She waited, watching for any sign of shock, panic, hope. Instead, I said, okay. She blinked. That threw her off. Aren't you going to say anything? I trust you'll tell me what you want me to know. Her mouth opened. Then closed. She wasn't expecting that. She wanted a reaction. A foothold. A chance to see if the manipulation still had teeth. It didn't. I had already downloaded her ovulation tracker logs. Already read the note in her phone titled Last Resort. Inside, a line that read, he'll stay for the baby. He always wanted a baby. She was weaponizing the one thing she'd once claimed we weren't ready for. I just nodded, kissed her on the forehead, and left the room. That weekend, She started trying harder. Made breakfast. Wore my favorite sweater. Asked about my day. Asked about me. It was like watching an actress slip into a role she hadn't rehearsed in years. But I wasn't the audience anymore. I was building my own script. I booked a consultation with a divorce lawyer. Quietly. Paid in cash. Set up mail forwarding to a P.O. box she didn't know existed. I sent myself all the backups, messages, voice notes, receipts. I had it all. Then I did something she'd never expect. I messaged Heather. Not from the burner. From my real account. First name only. Short. I think our spouses have been seeing each other. I'm not looking for drama. Just clarity. Heather replied 10 minutes later. I know. Been piecing it together. Can we talk? We did. Over the phone. Quiet. Civil. She wasn't shocked. Just tired. She'd been following her own breadcrumbs, suspicious charges, changed passwords, nights Bradley stayed late for inventory. She'd even found the same texts I did. Some of them timestamped while he was supposed to be putting their kids to bed. That's when we aligned. We decided to hold the mirror up together. Heather gave me everything she had. Photos of Bradley's car parked outside a boutique hotel. Credit card statements. A half-written apology letter she found in his notes app, addressed to Ashley. And then she sent me a video. Security cam from their porch. Ashley. On their property. Dropping off a manila envelope. She looked smug. Like she was delivering fate itself. Heather never opened it. Just tucked it away, too stunned to face it. I asked her to. Inside, printed photos of her and Bradley at a gala, circled like evidence, and a typed letter, "You deserve honesty." So did I. They told us we were the only ones. Ashley was trying to replace her. Not just take her man. Take her life. That's when Heather said, "She's not just cheating. She's obsessed." I agreed. We picked the date, next Friday. A family charity auction. Public. Photographers. Community ties. Heather would invite Bradley. I'd bring Ashley. She wouldn't suspect a thing. She thought the lie was working. That I was folding, breaking, too loyal to leave and too weak to fight. But I was watching her rehearse betrayal like it was a bedtime story. And I was about to give her an ending she couldn't rewrite. The night of the auction, Ashley took her time getting ready. "Does this look too much?" she asked, spinning in front of the mirror in a wine-red dress that clung like it had secrets. Her eyes sparkled like she was already imagining someone else watching her in it. "It's perfect," I said. She smiled. Thought she still had the leash. The drive was quiet. She played with the ring she hadn't worn in weeks, now suddenly back on her finger like a performance piece. She reached for my hand at the first red light. I let her. The venue was a sleek event hall downtown, marble floors, clean white light, the kind of place where betrayal feels expensive. We entered just before 7. Heather was already inside. Bradley arrived 10 minutes later, flanked by some excuse of a business partner. I watched the flicker in Ashley's eyes when she saw him. Surprise, nerves, calculation. She glanced at me, masked it with a sip of champagne. I smiled like I didn't see it. Then came the moment. Heather stepped onto the small stage near the auction items, holding a mic. She was poised, the kind of calm you only get when you've already survived the impact. "Before we begin," she said, "I'd like to share something personal." Ashley froze. I felt it through the floor. Heather's voice was steady. "This event is about transparency. About community. About rebuilding. So in that spirit, I brought something tonight. Something my husband left behind." She held up a folder. The room shifted. Polite murmurs. Eyes turning. She opened the folder and read, slow and sharp. "Can't wait to taste you again. Your skin feels like fire and trouble. Ashley." Gasps. Audible now. Heather looked directly at Bradley. "He sent this to someone else's wife." At the same time he was telling me he'd never cheat. Ashley's wine glass slipped in her hand. Barely. Just enough to catch the light. Heather scanned the crowd, let the silence cook, then turned her eyes to us. I think her husband deserves to know too. That was my cue. I stepped forward, pulling a flash drive from my jacket. Walked to the AV table. Plugged it in. The projector came to life. A photo. Ashley and Bradley, lobby security cam. His hand on her waist. Her smile surgical. Slide 2, a screen cap of their messages. Her saying he still thinks I love him. That's how I keep this clean. Slide 3, the pregnancy lie. Slide 4, her voice memo. If I just make him feel safe a little longer. The crowd went still. No shouting. No spectacle. Just the sound of a woman being peeled open. Ashley didn't move. Couldn't. Her face, pale, frozen, cycled through every human defense mechanism and failed each one. She turned to me. Mark. I stepped back. I don't know what you thought this was, I said, voice low. But it's over. And I'm not the man who waits to be discarded. Security approached Bradley. Someone said Heather had already filed papers. His face turned red, then blank. Ashley tried again. Please, can we? I cut her off. Lawyer will be in touch. You'll find your access revoked by morning. House, accounts, everything. You lied. I planned. Then I walked. I didn't look back. Because she'd already lost everything that mattered. By the time we reached the parking lot, Ashley was crumbling in real time. She chased me through the valet line, no shoes, mascara sliding into her teeth. The silence from the crowd was louder than screams. No one stepped in. No one stopped her. She grabbed my arm. Please, Mark. This is all twisted. We can talk. I stared at her hand. Watched it like it was something foreign. She let go. You sent her a letter before I ever knew, I said. You lied before I ever asked. You rehearsed apologies before you felt guilt. This isn't twisted. It's just you. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Security stepped forward, gentle but firm. Heather must have signaled them. She's not banned, I said. She's just done. Ashley didn't fight it. Her spine folded in on itself. I left her standing there, red dress soaked from spilled champagne, eyes wide in disbelief that the world didn't spin around her pity. At home, the locks were already changed. I had the whole place rekeyed while she was getting her nails done 2 days earlier. Even the garage code was reset. She had no idea. She tried her key. Then her code. Then knocked. Mark, she said through the door. Don't do this. I have nowhere. I let her talk. Then I slid the envelope through the mail slot. Inside, divorce papers. Pre-signed. Terms ironclad. She'd walk with nothing but her personal items, the clothes, the memories, the rotting carcass of her fantasy. I'd already spoken to her boss. Quietly. Professionally. Sent an anonymous tip with the footage. Her affair broke the firm's ethics policy. She was already flagged for a review. By Monday, she'd be unemployed. By Wednesday, living at her sister's. She kept texting. I didn't mean to fall for him. It was a mistake. Can we fix this? I miss you. I replied once. You miss having somewhere safe to land. After that, I blocked her. Heather filed her own suit. Full custody. Documented infidelity, plus digital evidence I helped compile. Bradley tried to spin it. Claimed it was emotional, not physical. Until Heather dropped the hotel receipts. His face didn't even twitch when the sheriff served him at work. By the weekend, the story had made it into a local community thread. No names. But the timeline and clues were clear. People guessed. People always guess. Ashley started reaching out to mutual friends. Painting it soft. He got so cold toward the end. I think he was struggling emotionally. But people had seen the truth. Heard the voice memos. Watched the slow, public burial of the lie. No one bit. Even her therapist cut sessions short. I'd quietly sent her one of Ashley's notes where she practiced manipulating therapy language. I'll say he invalidated me, then talk about childhood wounds. By then, she wasn't reclaiming a narrative. She was losing oxygen. In one final text, from a new number, she wrote, "Was any of it real?" I stared at it for a long time. Then replied, "Yes." That's what made it cruel. The house was quiet now. Too quiet for some, not for me. I started waking before the sun again. Not out of anxiety, but because I could. Because no one was pretending in the room beside me. No glow under covers, no second phone tucked in a coat pocket. Just stillness. I kept the guest room. Stripped our bed. Gave the sheets to Goodwill. Her scent was gone within a week. What stayed were the details. A single bobby pin lodged in the hallway carpet. The faint shadow of a photo frame on the wall. Her coffee mug in the back of the cabinet, turned upside down like it had something to hide. I didn't throw it away. I let it sit. Her sister came to collect her things 2 Mondays later. She didn't speak much. Just pointed at boxes and signed a receipt. I handed her a thumb drive. "Everything she'll need," I said. "Files. Contacts. Footage." Her sister looked at me with something between pity and awe. She said, "You didn't know that you were blind." She would. I closed the door behind her. I changed my number the next day. Set up call screening. Transferred our joint accounts to my name, notified the bank. I had the utilities cleaned up, car titles sorted, subscriptions cancelled. Even the Spotify plan. No more shared playlists. No more algorithms mistaking her lies for memories. The silence grew teeth. It stopped being numb. It started being honest. I got a letter from Ashley 3 weeks later. Handwritten. No return address. She didn't apologize. Not really. She used phrases like emotional confusion and unexpected connection. Said she felt like she was drowning in roles. Called our life safe but small. She ended it with, "I hope you find someone who sees you." I folded the letter once. Burned it in the kitchen sink. Watched the words blister and curl until they stopped trying to mean anything. That was the last I heard from her. Bradley tried reaching out once, too. Through a friend of a friend. Said he wanted to clear the air. I told the friend, "There's nothing in the air anymore. Just smoke." Heather sent one final message, a photo of her kids, playing in the yard. She wrote, "Thank you for not letting it stay a secret." I didn't reply. Some things don't need to be returned. 6 months later, I saw Ashley at a grocery store. She didn't see me. She looked different. Lighter, maybe. Or just reduced. She paused at the frozen aisle, checking her phone. Alone. No ring. No heat behind her eyes. Just another woman with nowhere to be at 6 p.m. I walked past without stopping. Because this story never needed a scream. It just needed the door to stay shut. And I made sure it did.